Hi everyone, welcome to the video. Today we're going to focus on Bitcoin's exceptional performance in recent times. It's continuing to set new all-time highs. We have some relevant news, the crypto PSA, and there'll be a general market update towards the end of the video. But at the moment, just to give you an idea of how Bitcoin's been going in recent times, it's currently 23.5 thousand US dollars per BTC, which has done very well, especially when you consider the major crash we had back in March. It's rebounded very well, and it's showing very strong growth. It's constant, this upwards trajectory. Could it hit 30K by the end of the year? Let's see what happens. Before I continue with a quick update about some of the ideas for upcoming videos. Shortly, I'll be doing another price analysis and project updates, but I would like your input if you're interested about what do you think would be some of the best altcoins or the low-capped cryptos to do very well in 2021. So some that I think could hit 60 to 80x, possibly 100x, and it's something to factor in because there is a lot of potential, especially with these smaller cryptos and them doing really well in the future. So share your thoughts and we'll see if your cryptos feature in that video. Moving on and talking about this Bitcoin giveaway, $1 million being given away by this rapper, Megan Thee Stallion, hands out free BTC on Twitter. So just a few key points here. She's giving away the Bitcoin through Cash App. Quote, "To celebrate, I'm giving 1 million in Bitcoin to as many hotties as I can." We'll be giving out this million units until it's gone. So drop your Cash App below with hashtag BitcoinMeg to get a piece. End quote. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey also confirming this news. Whether you like her or not, it's publicity and it's appealing to many of her fans and potential retail investors. If it propels the price, I'm happy. And at least I will acknowledge as well that it's Bitcoin and not a crap coin, unlike some other people in the space. A concluding thought about this: if you've missed this giveaway, I wouldn't be surprised that as Bitcoin's price will most likely increase or continue to do so in the coming weeks and months, that there would be similar artists or others that would be doing their own giveaways and trying to raise their profile as well. What are your thoughts about this? You're getting popular figures spruiking Bitcoin or crypto. Could this actually make a difference? At the moment, I feel as though a lot of the market is being tailored towards institutional investors, which we'll cover in this story. It's a weird segue, but you'll get the link. This is from CoinDesk, this article, and it's very frustrating from a retail investor's perspective. So for ourselves, titled US Floats Long Dreaded Plan to Make Crypto Exchanges Identify Personal Wallets. A few key points. I'll give you my thoughts about this as well. US cryptocurrency users hoping to transfer their holdings from an exchange to their own personal wallets may need to comply with new Know Your Customer or KYC requirements under a rule proposed by the Treasury Department Friday. Users who would like to send cryptocurrencies from central exchanges to a private wallet would need to provide personal information about the owner of the wallet to the exchanges if that amount sent is greater than $10,000 in one day. The exchanges would also need to submit and store records from involving transactions with a total value of over $10,000 in a given reporting period. I assume this would be for every 24 hours, or just maintain records for transactions over 3K. Just my thoughts about this, and I encourage you to go through the article about that. This will be more frustrating for a lot of retail investors. I just feel as though several of these measures are just shafting us, at least those in the US, but this could set a precedent for lawmakers in other countries. The thing I'm curious to know is, now I know this would be more of an inconvenience, nevertheless, could people circumvent this, or at least in part, by having their funds divided up between 2 and possibly 3 wallets, which you could easily do on the same device? So if you've got a Ledger or Trezor, or otherwise, you send, say, $9,999 to 2 different exchanges for every 24 hours. Although it does say $3,000 per transaction or above, so it's definitely frustrating. I know for a lot of institutional investors, they want these regulations, and then this would probably make it a lot more inviting for them at the expense of retail. And these are just my thoughts. Just as a quick side note or a disclaimer, none of this is financial advice, I forgot to mention earlier. Some people might scoff at my suggestion and think, why am I being so antagonistic and what do I have to hide? It's more so that I don't want, and I don't think anyone really wants, extra data being held with these exchanges, especially when there have been multiple reports of exchanges being hacked, the systems being compromised. The full extent of these hacks or the specific details, I highly doubt they'll ever be released to the public. So what measures will be in place to ensure the security of these user data and to have a requirement to store this info for a given period of time. But I think you get my point. Could this potentially defer a lot of retail investors in the USA, which we know is a major market? Anyhow, more info there in that CoinDesk piece. Well, going back to what I mentioned earlier, or elaborating on the information in regards to Bitcoin's price, or the recent performance, I should say, and the major increases and the new all-time highs, I would like to draw your attention to this chart, and this is courtesy of TradingView. This is through the Bitcoin block reward halving website. For those not looking at the screen, it's the historical price data. We can see this oscillation over time and the major increase in price post-halving. So we have the halvings for 2012, 2016, and the latest one earlier this year, 2020, for those listening in future. We're seeing a general uptrend and this burst in price in the months following each respective halving. So if we were to extrapolate this, how high could the price go? Now, this only gives you limited information, but it's a very good graph or line graph here provided by digitalic.net. It's titled Bitcoin Stock to Flow Model Live Chart. To give you a basic explanation of what this entails, stock to flow, and this is used for various commodities, where you consider the current stock of a given asset, thinking of gold, and what is the quantity of that available, or the total supply at a given point in time relative to the flow. So how much is being mined or produced in a given period, so say for every year. Now this elaborates on that and gives you some very good, but just to give you an idea, specifically for Bitcoin, we know that, just want to scroll down, got the info here. So this provides the stock to flow ratio of 27. This is based on September 2019 data. However, it says at the time of the next halving events, this was back in May 2020, we have the rate of Bitcoin at about 900 units per day, and there will be about 18.37 million coins in circulation. So the stock to flow will climb to 52, which is much closer to gold, and that's listed here at 62. But bearing in mind that every 3.5 to 4 years we have this halving event, it says here in 2024, the BTC stock to flow ratio will hit 113. Gold's, whereas we know gold is at about 62, and that will remain fairly constant, at least compared to Bitcoin, because we know there'll be a maximum of 21 million Bitcoins that will be produced, and many of these being lost forever. Long story short, at about 900 to 1,000 days in the lead up to the following halving, we see a major price increase. So that's represented by the reddish orange line going into the yellow. Now where we are now, just to clarify, if I go back to the Bitcoin block reward halving countdown, so it's about 1,200 days to the next event. Stock to flow prediction of over 100,000 in the coming years, and eventually going beyond 1 million, at least post 2024. So this is highlighting what I believe would be major potential for the foundation crypto and several other cryptos throughout the space, especially the major ones or those with really good utility or something unique. There is this complimentary piece by Plan B, this article, Modeling Bitcoin Value with Scarcity. I see a lot of positive signs. We have a stock to flow model, which is highly advantageous for those holding Bitcoin in the long term. The limited inflation, which is very appealing, that being, the current inflation rate at about 1.8% per annum, lower than many developed countries, and we know this will continue to drop. I know many people consider Bitcoin to be a good hedge against inflation or an alternate store of value, essentially digital gold. Let's see how things pan out in the near future. The last Bitcoin related article, so this is insight from a Billionaire Shark Tank representative. Mark Cuban calls Bitcoin more religion than solution. So again, once again, fresh off the press, a fairly quick read. So just pointing out a couple of things here. In spite of Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high and going beyond 20K, the Shark Tank investor and the owner of the Dallas Mavericks, Mark Cuban, he still won't change his stance about the foundation crypto. Previously, he's made the comment, and I do quote in air quotes, rather have bananas than Bitcoin. Says here, a year ago when Bitcoin was back at its highs of 10K around mid-year, Cuban answered questions on Twitter, and one of them was about the foundation crypto. And he said, I do quote, a banana has more utility and potassium is a valuable nutrient to every person on the planet, end quote. Yes, that is a good point. However, Forbes asked Cuban his thoughts once again and called cryptocurrency fans a religion, in air quotes. There's a direct statement from him. No matter how much Bitcoin fans want to pretend it's a hedge against doomsday scenarios, it is not. Countries will take steps to protect their currencies and their ability to tax. So the more people believe this is anything more than a store of value, the more risk of government intervention they face. End quote. Just my insight in regards to this, I think the issue is, well, he says here protecting their currencies. A major problem experienced in many nations is that the central governments there, or the banks in the respective countries, they're not protecting the currencies because we have hyperinflation. We have places like Argentina and Venezuela, and I think Zimbabwe as well. Their local currencies have pretty much been rendered useless because of extreme inflation, and people would be seeking alternatives. We know that the US dollar is still a major reserve currency, or it's the most popular one, even though that's losing dominance. Some would be looking to cryptocurrencies as an alternative or as this hedge against inflation. Now, again, it's a case-by-case basis. I've made a very general statement here. I guess, especially when it comes to protecting their currencies, from what I've observed, and this is purely from an outsider's perspective, but it seems that many countries have let their citizens down. In regards to taxation, I agree with him on that one. Governments want their tax revenue, and as is the case for many developed countries and perhaps developing countries as well, to a certain extent, those that are making profits from cryptocurrencies, well, their governments would be requesting their fair share of the profits made from the capital gains. And on a positive note, Cuban acknowledges this. It's in a separate article. It's from the cryptocurrency space. It's one of the final lines in this. But as long as people accept Bitcoin as a digital version of gold, it's investable. And I'm glad he understands this and that he hasn't just rubbished Bitcoin and disparaged it, assuming it's a scam. Unlike several other ultra wealthy investors out there, and that, as we know, yes, Bitcoin has plenty of potential. So, based on what we saw earlier with the stock to flow charts, we know Bitcoin's got the limited supply, and we have a plethora of institutional investors taking an active interest in it. I've covered this in other videos. Actually, there's one more thing. I'll include this link in the description, but there was an article recently about, I think it was one of the investment officers or the chief investment officer, something along those lines, from the Guggenheim investment company. He said that Bitcoin's price should be closer to $400,000 per BTC. So what's that, about a 19 to 20-fold increase from where we are now. That's sending a very powerful message. 2021 should be absolutely colossal for the space. This section I've actually had to re-record due to some breaking news or an update based on the Ledger hack that occurred earlier this year, or the leak of customer data. Just to give you a summary of what happened, here is the official communique from Ledger a few months ago now. It's in the e-commerce and marketing database has been breached. It contains emails, first and last names, phone numbers, and postal addresses, as well as the type of product purchased within certain orders. Damn, oh boy. More detailed personal information could have been exposed. So we know that this database comprises approximately 1 million email addresses that could have been leaked, and that 9,500 more detailed personal information, phone number, yep, so it's repeating what was mentioned. And here's all the details you need to know here. Personally, I think Ledger's response, in my opinion, has been inadequate. I know many people, well, they run the risk of extortion in some way, shape or form. And especially as the crypto prices increase, there is a greater risk of these things happening. But I'm not here to alarm you. It's just to inform you about what has happened and just stay vigilant. Never share any information about the crypto wallet. So your recovery seeds, when you're putting through orders in general, just give as little information as possible. Anyway, I could go on, but just please never share your recovery seeds, and I'll provide further details in the description, so please read up on this information. If you are one of the affected customers, it's most likely Ledger would have messaged you. Keep an eye out for family members and friends as well, in case they have been affected in some way. Wrapping up the video with a market update, and this is courtesy of Coin Paprika. A quick summary of the biggest gains and losses of how cryptos have been faring over the past 7 days. The overwhelming majority of the space is up, except for, well, as we know, the stable coins pretty much don't do much, and yeah, very few losses. For some of the top 100 cryptos over the past 7 days, Gifto, Chimpion, Swissborg. I have never heard of the first two. They're up. And there's Elrond, which I'm familiar with. They're up more than 100%. New Elrond token or coin and Litecoin are up by about 57, 58%. Bitcoin Vault Zilliqa, it's a bit of a fan favorite that's doing well at the moment. Synthetics, DeFi Chain, Nexo, Decred, Theta. Some of the DeFi cryptos dotted about the list. Out of those with double-digit gains. XRP picking up once again. It's at about 57 cents. Bitcoin has been doing exceptionally well over the past 7 days, showing consistent growth, about 24.5% for the week. It's currently at $23,552. I should mention as well, for those listening in future, the time and date is currently 7:32 a.m. UTC on Sunday, the 20th of December, 2020. Okay, looking at some other cryptos that have done well over the past week. Aave is still holding strong, up in the high $80 range or low 90s. Currently $88. Kusama, which relates to Polkadot, and I'll be covering Polkadot in an upcoming video, so stay tuned for that. $54.61. Decentraland or Mana, the crypto. IOTA up as well, nearly 33 cents. Stellar still up in the high teens, about 18 cents. Zcash or Zcash, $73.60. Polkadot, $5.30. Cardano, about 16 cents. That's up 10.7% for the week. Now that's a wrap. What are your thoughts about Bitcoin and the articles that I've covered throughout the video? I look forward to your feedback. Thank you once again. I hope you're all having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with my latest content. If you have something to say or you just want to say g'day, by all means, leave your feedback in the comments section. Share this with anyone who you think will find this useful or any of my other content through the channel. Yeah, talk to you soon. See ya.